we are live on Saturday night with our usual live chat. And good evening, all you doctors out there in Facebook, YouTube, and a warm welcome to you. Hope you're having a great weekend ahead. Anyway, I'm very pleased to have with me today the team from Plato Medical. Okay, that's Remy. Maybe
Hi.
introduce yourselves. Maybe you'd like to introduce yourselves.
Thanks, Dr. Allen. My name's Remy. I'm one of the co-founders of Plato Medical.
I'm Vish. Hi.
Vish, you want to come in the screen?
Yeah. Hi.
Yeah, just okay. Anyway, something exciting for those of you who attended the webinar on Plato Pay, which was quite interesting because it's a digital payment system for clinics, which Plato Medical have introduced. And I thought it would be great to have them on board to tell you more about their comprehensive platform for clinic management and more. So maybe I'll just hand over to you, Remy, to present or just tell us a little bit about Plato Medical. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Dr. Allen. And good evening, everybody in Malaysia. So we're based out of Singapore. We're a Singaporean clinic software that is launching in Malaysia. Now about 50 clinics use Plato in Malaysia, and we're really hoping to grow and to bring more clinics on board. So I really want to share what we have to offer and what problems we are trying to solve for doctors. And it would be great to get your feedback if you agree that these are problems doctors face, or if there are any particular pain points right now that you wish you could improve about your EMR. We would love to know that. So I don't know if you guys have ever had a difficult day with your clinic software where it's been slow or clunky and it's made you decide, I just want to work with paper instead. We're here to solve that problem for you. We want you to work with an electronic system and to feel that your electronic system is as reliable, as flexible as paper. Paper is expensive. It's something we're all used to. It's something we're comfortable with, but it is expensive. If you keep paper for a long time, then you'll have to deal with costs of sorting, filing, finding the paper, and that can create hours of work for you and for your staff. It's so easy to lose a piece of paper, but at the same time, whatever system you choose, it has to mimic the flexibility of paper. It has to be as comfortable. The other thing that Plato brings is it's comprehensive. So a lot of people get on a software only to find it doesn't do everything that they need to run their clinic, and then they end up dropping off the software, or they end up using several different software to run their clinic, and that causes fatigue. It makes their staff frustrated, they feel stressed. So Plato has everything you need in one place. It lets you run your software from a single platform. And the last thing Plato does is we're web-based. So I'm sure some of you are on locally installed systems. So you can only access your software from the clinic. If a patient calls you after hours, then you don't have their medical record. Plato is web-based, so you can access your clinic from anywhere. And if right now you can't reach your clinic because of the MCO, you can still do things like virtual consults. You can still work from home if you choose to, if you want to. So it's really important to be able to access your clinic from anywhere. And the interesting thing about a web-based software is it also creates an opportunity for growth. So if you want to turn your clinic into a chain, the fact that people at the second location of your chain can access the software at the first location makes a big difference. It really speeds up work. So let me tell you a little bit about the day in the life of a Plato customer. As you can see, it's a happy day. All these doctors are dancing. First of all, these are some of the testimonials we've gotten from customers in Malaysia. So they've been using Plato for about 6 months now. Plato's been around for 5 years, so we've got doctors who've been with us from the beginning, but in Malaysia, we've recently launched. They've been using it for 6 months, and they've been comfortable and happy, and it's reduced work for them, and particularly, they've loved the EMR. So let's talk about a day in the life of a Plato customer. First, our automations start with appointment management. So I think something that clinics don't do often enough, and they're starting to adopt, is online appointment booking. So Plato makes it easy to put a link on your Facebook page, on your website. Some clinics are anxious about this. They feel like, what if a patient books an appointment, then they don't show up? So Plato has a solution to that. What we do is we allow you to put patient credit cards on file. So when the patient books an appointment, they can key in their card details. Then you can charge a cancellation fee if the patient doesn't make it and doesn't let you know. So this de-risks the issue of having a calendar open for online appointment booking. And it's important to include things like online appointment booking because patients make online appointment booking for many of the services that they use. So from things like doing a bill payment to, booking a meeting room, all of these things are things patients do online in their day-to-day lives as consumers. And they're hoping that doctors and other areas of their life adopt the same online appointment booking behavior. So when a clinic has online appointment booking, patients view that favorably. They're more likely to go to that clinic, and they have the sense that the clinic is tech forward. So even though it's scary to adopt something new like this, it really helps with your brand impression, and it helps you improve your patient experience and attract more patients. The next thing that Plato does is it helps you make a strong first impression with the patient. So we don't own the patient relationship. They don't see our branding. They'll just see your clinic's branding only, but you'll still be able to help them do things like pre-register. So you can send them a registration form before they arrive to your clinic. Otherwise, patients come into your clinic and they have to fill a paper form, and the patient feels like it's inconvenient. For them, it's just a much more seamless experience. If they get the form at home, they can fill it in from home and then come straight in to see you. You can even send consent forms in advance. So it's not just a registration form. If you know that a procedure is going to happen at a visit, the patient can take some time to read that consent form at home and make sure they're comfortable, they've Googled anything that they need to Google. When the patient arrives to your clinic, we make sure things are fast and easy. So if your clinic is a very high volume practice, you can send the patients SMS to let them know when their turn has come in. So they can sit at a coffee shop, for example, and wait for their turn to come in. You can also track wait times, so you'll know what the patient experience is like. Most importantly, we have an EMR that's great. So when Plato started, our big focus area was really EMR because doctors were really unhappy with their electronic medical records. They weren't able to format their notes. Many of them just stuck to paper because that offered them the best flexibility, the best organization. So we knew we had to compete with paper and be better than paper. So we've made it such that doctors can do all their work on one page, and they can decide and design their own workflows. So every doctor works a little bit differently. What we've done is made a system that's configurable, so you decide how you want to work. We don't tell you, we don't prescribe a workflow, you set it yourself. And you can also set automations yourself as well. So here are some of the options when you're using Plato. You can type, you can write and draw, you can even use voice to text. So as you speak, Plato will transcribe, and you have unlimited data storage, and scanning is very easy. So if you are on paper now and you feel like, how am I going to transition over? We have a solution for you. It's very easy to archive past notes. So these are some of the range of options. It's all up to you how you want to manage. The next step in the patient journey at the clinic, after you've seen them, you've done your dispensing, you've done your note, is billing. So, with a clinic, transactions can be really complicated, and you have to be very careful with transactions. So it's harder to do things like a credit note. It's harder to do a refund. You need somebody to check and make sure to see what is being returned, what is being refunded. Billing rules tend to be more complicated. So Plato manages all those billing rules that you need. You can set access controls. You can decide who can do what. And you can also track outstanding invoices. So it's very easy to manage. It's very medically compliant. But at the same time, it's easy for your staff to use. It lets you set rules without giving your staff a headache in terms of trying to figure out how to follow those rules. Collections is also a major challenge. This is not spoken about often with clinics, but a lot of clinics carry the weight of bad debt, and this can be quite challenging. So it can be something as simple as a patient pays part of a bill now and says they'll come back and pay it later. You have a large procedure, a very expensive procedure. You offer the patient the chance to pay it in small increments. All of these situations can lead to bad debt. So Plato allows you to hold credit cards on file, reducing your bad debt. So if you give the patient an option to break down an expensive procedure into smaller increments, you can hold the card on file, and at a pre-agreed upon time, you can charge that card in small increments. So it makes it easier for the patient. They don't need to come back to you to complete their treatment plan or to complete their payment. They don't have the added inconvenience of a trip, and it also de-risks your business. It means that you'll carry less bad debt. If you're dealing with medical tourism as well, that carries the risk of bad debt too, because you have a patient who's overseas, you can't contact them. And bad debt is something people feel anxious talking about, but I think it's something important that clinics need to consider when they're looking at their business, because it can really make or break a clinic. The last and I think most exciting area that Plato Pay provides a solution for is virtual care. So now with MCOs and lockdowns becoming the norm because of COVID, A lot of patients need to see you, they want to see you, but they feel anxious to come into the clinic. They're worried about going through a blockade. So I think telemedicine is very important these days. So Plato provides smooth virtual care. You can set up a teleconsult that's free, that's part of the system. And you can also charge for that consult if required. Plato is linked with GMedis, so it's a medicine delivery service. So you can even deliver medicine back to the patient. So imagine you have a patient dealing with a chronic illness, they need a medicine refill, they need to check in. You can manage all of that fully through Plato, end to end, everything from the teleconsult, the bill, to the medicine delivery. And you can also send them electronic prescriptions as well. So the full visit is covered. The other thing that a lot of clinics work on is corporate billing. So they will bill to an insurance company, they'll collect a payment from an insurance company. So Plato has a full system for tracking corporate billing. It's easy to make sure corporate payments are made. You can set pricing rules. So I don't know if you've ever had a situation where a corporate has told you, like maybe IHP has told you, or Fullerton has told you, this medicine has to cost, 1 ringgit per unit. So Plato lets you set that pricing rule. So your staff don't need to go look at a sheet, remember, okay, this is 1 ringgit. They can set a rule within Plato, and Plato will automatically change the pricing for those Fullerton or those IHP patients. So it's very easy to manage. You can also track admin charges, so you can see how much the insurance company is deducting to deal with processing of your medicine. So you can make sure every bill is paid, and you can track whether or not it's actually profitable to work with those corporates. Plato's inventory management is also comprehensive. So here in Southeast Asia, we deal with medicine. We sell medicine from the clinic. So a lot of international softwares, they don't have inventory management because elsewhere, the pharmacy is separate from the clinic. But in Singapore and Malaysia, the pharmacy is part of the clinic. So it's important to have comprehensive inventory management. So Plato covers everything you need with respect to inventory management. Clinic administration is also important. So what we mean by administration is determining who can see what and who can change what and when. You're dealing with patient data, so obviously you don't want your full clinic to have access. So Plato makes it easy to build a hierarchy, to choose which devices can access Plato, and to also set access restrictions such that each clinic staff only sees what's appropriate. So they don't see more than they need to do their work. Business analytics is becoming more and more important in terms of running a clinic, in terms of seeing how your patient's health is performing. So analytics gives you a really interesting window to see how your business is performing, how your patients are doing. So Plato does have a suite of comprehensive reports in our intelligence module. These are really neat because they're interactive. So you can choose which columns to show, you can filter reports, you can export them to Excel, and then you can make changes to the reports as you need to. So it's a really great way to deep dive into how your clinic is doing, how your patients are doing, where your patients are coming from. So you can build and grow both your healthcare practice and your medical business. And Plato's also pretty cool in that it syncs to your accounting software. So your accountant will be much happier. And this might give you scope to demand a discount. The really neat thing about Plato is not just its standard reporting, though. We're also able to link to third-party software like Power BI, Click, Tableau, Mode. So these are analytics tools that let you build the reports that you want. So if you want to track, for example, whether or not a diabetes treatment is performing well with all of your patients, it's super easy to do that. All you have to do is use a BI connector and link it with your Power BI, and then build that report. So it's very straightforward. There are a lot of Power BI consultants if you don't want to build a report yourself, but it means your data can actually be unlocked from your system. So a big problem a lot of clinic software have is that they lock the data at the clinic. So that means that you can't do anything with it. You can't switch softwares. You can't do analysis on your own data. They don't allow you to link, if you choose to, with a third-party software. And it's a backwards mindset because almost every software now offers users the option, if they choose, to mine their own data, to build their own reports, to understand their business better. And that's really, I think, a requirement these days. You can also build onto Plato. So for any doctors out there who want to build a healthcare product, who are developers, we've got a Plato app marketplace and we've got a developer platform. So you can build apps for your own clinic. So if there's an app you've always thought was necessary, if you have an app, let's say you have an idea for a patient app and you think your patients will love it, it's very easy to pull out the information from Plato and pull it onto your app. So again, this is your choice. You get to enable this, but you can build on top of Plato. And if you feel that you have something other doctors would benefit from as well, Plato's developer platform is great for that. You can contact us and we can look at launching what you have on Plato's app marketplace so other doctors can access it too. So this number is a little old. It says more than 1,200 doctors use Plato to run their practice. It's actually more than 1,300 doctors use Plato to run their practice. So week on week, Plato grows by about 4 to 5 clinics. So we have a fast uptake, great referrals. People are really happy with the software. We're the most popular cloud-based CMS in Southeast Asia. And these are some of the kind of brand name customers. So you might know Qualitas Health, HMI Group, Singapore Medical Group, AO Clinic. So these are some of the clinics, WQ Park, some of the clinics and groups in Malaysia and in Singapore that use Plato to run their full clinic operations. Implementation is really easy. So we always give you a 1-month free trial. And if you have a previous software, let's say you're on an older system, we can migrate the data for you for free during the free trial. Then you test out the software, just give it a play, see if you like it. And then if you like it, we'll do a second migration and you can go forward after that. But we give everybody a 1-month free trial so that they know for sure that this is the software that they want. So we also, patient data is really critical. It's critical to keep it safe. So Vish, do you want to speak a little bit on patient data?
Yeah, so all the data is always encrypted using AES-256 encryption. So it stays encrypted in flight and at rest. And at no point is the data decrypted. The only time when it's decrypted is when you're looking at it on your screen. So yeah, and on our side, we maintain multiple backups, live copies of the data across multiple data centers. But on your side as well, you can install backups on your computers. So you can sync your data across multiple computers to prevent data loss.
So you own your data with Plato. If you choose to switch to another software, you can do that very easily. Our technology is also exciting. So Vish will share a bit more about that.
Yeah, so it's a very high availability technology. So it's not dependent on certain servers or certain architecture going down, and it's built in Laravel and Node.js, same technology that powers big organizations like Microsoft, Yahoo, Groupon, SAP even.
So basically what this means is even with a slow internet connection, Plato still will work quickly for you, and that you have the redundancy that you need to make sure your system is running.
You have the 1-month trial to test it out. It works really fast. You can test it out with your own data set, how fast it works.
Yeah. All right. So seeing is believing. We really believe in the value of a free trial. We think that's really critical. You don't need to take our word for what the software can do. So if you feel like a free trial, definitely feel free to email us, call us, and we're more than happy to get the free trial set up for you so you can actually test for yourself whether this software works for you. We do free training, so feel free to reach out, book a training session if you've gotten a free trial as well. We do free unlimited virtual training. So we want to make sure that everyone who uses Plato is super, super happy with it. Great. So thank you so much, you guys, for walking through our presentation. And if there are any questions, we're more than happy to take them.
Yeah. So you guys are watching on Facebook, YouTube. Please feel free to ask any questions. Just want to show the website in case you missed it. Anyway, it's on the slide there, but it's platomedical.com. I can actually share the website.
I think this is great. Yeah, this is great. But I'm curious if anybody who is a little shy to ask questions, we're very curious to know, to what extent you guys are using virtual care in Malaysia, how popular that is, because we've gotten mixed messages about it. And then we're also curious to know, how important corporate billing is in managing your practice. Those are 2 big questions that we have about the Malaysian market.
Yeah, I think there's quite a large number of electronic medical records options in Malaysia, as far as I know. But many of them are legacy, standalone, installed apps, and not many are cloud-based or web-based EMRs. I think that's probably the way forward. People are always a bit worried, though, with the state of the internet in Malaysia. And say, what if my internet connection goes and I can't manage my clinic and all that? Have you had doctors at that?
Oh yeah, I think that's a question not just for Malaysia. Even in Singapore, that's a worry that people have. We have solutions around it. We have offline backup apps that you can pre-install on your computer. You can be prepared for that eventuality when you will have intermittent access, and no matter what happens, you are always able to see your patients. You're always able to continue operations at your clinic.
Okay, there's a question from Dr. Kopp, and that's the pricing. I mean, that's usually when you ask anything to anybody, even to say how much is it going to cost.
Hi, Dr. Kopp. It's a purely subscription cost. It's $79 per month. It's pay as you go. There's no upfront fee. There's no setup fee. There's no migration fee. And obviously, there's a 1 month free trial, so you don't pay a cent till you test it out, try out all your workflows, try it out properly in your clinic. Know that the software adds value to your clinic before you make any payment.
Is there any lock to the subscription? How do we know like next year it won't go up and up and up?
It's an annual payment, so it's just annual lock. We started in Singapore 6 years ago. Our Singapore pricing is different, but we have never changed the price. Our growth strategy is not to change the price itself, it's to add more subscribers.
And I'll be straightforward, our price is a little bit more expensive than some of the other software that you might see in the market. So in Malaysia, there are some software that are 10 ringgit per month. And when you see a software like that, you know that for sure the price will go up because it's not a sustainable price. The same kind of behavior happened in Singapore. There were people who built software, they tried to capture the market with a low price, only to raise prices later. We want to be very honest. We want to plan our pricing and we want to make sure our doctors can plan. So we've set a realistic price that we won't need to change. And we've set that from the beginning so that there are no nasty surprises basically down the line.
Yeah.
So we did the same thing in Singapore.
I've even seen an ad for free EMR, cloud-based EMR, free, completely free. This is a Malaysian product. Yeah, can you believe it? If you look carefully at the terms and conditions, your data is not safe. You're signing an agreement where it can be shared with anybody.
Yeah, I mean, they have to make money somehow, right? So ours is just a very upfront model. This is what it is. There's no fine print, and yeah.
There's no such thing as a free lunch, So either you know what you're selling up front or you don't. And so I do agree with Vish. If something is free, they're probably selling your data. But the other strategy that could be used is that they might capture the market first and increase prices later. So both, I think, are used by companies that are just trying to grow really fast. It just doesn't set you up to be able to plan well, because if they give you a low price now, you just don't know what the price will be later, and your data will be locked in, and you don't know that you can extract it. So those are some of the risks with a low-cost software. Yeah.
How easy or difficult is it to migrate data? From to and.
So this is one of our specialties. We're very good as a company at doing data migrations, but it's not easy. From a technical perspective, it's taken us a lot of research and time to be able to do data migrations. So it is hard. Most softwares don't make it easy. Yeah. That being said, having done so many data migrations, we thought it's not fair to customers to lock in the data. So we've made it very easy for doctors to download all of their data out of Plato, and we've put it in a non-proprietary format so that they can pass that to the next vendor if they're not happy with the product. So we want doctors to have choice. They should get to pick which software they go with. And in a competitive market, they should be able to pull out their data and bring it to the next software.
Yeah, we want our customers to stay with our system because they feel like it's the best system, not because they feel hosted. So our system gives them a direct option. They can download the data anytime and any number of times in SQLite format or JSON format, and it's their data. Yeah.
So SQLite and JSON, those are non-proprietary formats. So what that means is that any developer can use free products to pull that out. So they won't need to pay to get that out or to transform that data into the database structure that they need for their software.
Is this suitable for clinic chains or standalone?
We particularly specialize in enterprise offerings. Almost all the chains in Singapore use Plato now, and we are pushing hard on on converting chains in Malaysia as well, because there are a lot of offerings for clinic groups and automation that they can benefit from.
So Plato automates the work of one person at every clinic. So clinic groups really look for that automation. And they also love the BI connectors that we have. So they like to build custom reports. They need custom reports on their operations. Because every clinic group grows to become a group because there's some special thing that they do differently. And they need to track that in reporting. And so off-the-shelf reporting doesn't help you track it. You need to build your own custom reporting. So Plato addresses that need.
For bigger groups, procurement and inventory management also becomes important because oftentimes they're buying centrally and distributing across the branches, and our system handles that really well, the procurement flow. As the group becomes bigger, the procurement complexity becomes bigger, and our system handles that.
And the group purchasing becomes better. Like they can use their strength as leverage. They can use their size as leverage and get a discount. I think Dr. Koch has a second question.
Yes.
Yeah. So using Plato is very much like using Gmail. You don't have worries like file corruption. Like that's not a thing that happens with web-based systems like Plato. So we do have support. You can call a helpline. It's an office hour support only though. But I think the concept of file corruption doesn't really apply to Plato.
This is a very locally installed software kind of concept where you only have one database.
So when your system is on your server in your clinic, you're worried that the server will go down, something will happen, and you have to call somebody to do that. Plato is just like opening a website. If your computer crashes, you just open another computer and you can carry on from where you left off. And we talked about the offline backup earlier. You can install it on multiple computers independently. So even if something happens to one device, you're not left high and dry. So the whole point of using Plato is that you're not dependent on one device or one network or one internet to run your operations.
Cloud software also really solves this issue of file corruption, because when you're dealing with a single server, you might have one copy at most. So you might have one copy of your software on that server and maybe a second redundant copy, because you're limited by the size and the capacity of that server to handle your data. But the neat thing about cloud is it's like having an infinite number of computers that you can access, so you can set as many backups as you need. And we've talked about the ability for you to do backups on your side, but the fact is actually Plato also does backups on our side of your data. So at any point in time, all of our customers have many backups of their software in the cloud. And that really eliminates it eliminates the possibility of data corruption, because if one copy is corrupt, there'll be 13 other copies that are not corrupt in the cloud.
Yeah, so very much like using Gmail. When you send an email to somebody, you receive an email, you never worry about email getting lost after that. It's still there. Gmail always works. Your computer may not. You just open another one and carry on.
Yeah.
If there is a major internet disruption, can the system work on the local copy?
Yeah,
and then upload changes later when the internet is restored?
It's not so much of an upload changes later. Offline backup, you can't enter data into the offline backup. But if there is a major internet outage, you can access all the data. So every patient you've ever seen, all the past case notes and everything is there. So if a patient walks into your clinic, you know the entire medical history, what medicines you prescribed previously, and everything.
But you can really run Plato off a mobile hotspot. So what we've seen is that, at least in Singapore, there has been an outage of both mobile and local internet. It's either been one or the other, though we accept that Malaysia is different. And you could really run Plato off a mobile hotspot. So worst case, if something goes down, you can run Plato using your handphone. Or you can hotspot your handphone and you can run Plato using that, because it doesn't require a very strong internet connection.
Yeah. So it's really built for low internet environments, because we are planning to expand aggressively in this region. So the internet, you don't need a fast internet to run Plato. You just need some internet to run.
Plato also is a software that's being sold in very low internet places. So one of the markets in which Plato is sold is actually Myanmar. And I would say Malaysia definitely has a more robust, a more reliable internet infrastructure, than Myanmar does. And it's able to work effectively in Myanmar.
Okay, that's good to know. Anybody have any other questions for Plato? Otherwise, probably the Plato team can come on again another time and maybe address. I'm also curious to know all this BI connectors, reports, and all that. This is quite fascinating. I mean,
that's exciting stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, we're actually releasing a white paper about that in about 3 weeks. So we'll send that over to docs, and we'd be happy to do a presentation on some of the insights that the doctors that are using BI connectors have started to collect. I think that might be interesting to share.
Does this work on hospital systems for those of us who are unhappy with our hospital EMRs?
Our focus has been more outpatient. I think when it comes to EMR, it can work in any situation. But as a company, we've been more focused on outpatient setting. I think that's easier to address and faster to grow into.
We don't have bed management, so I think that's a limiting factor for the hospital setting. But we do work with day surgery centers. So StarMed, which is owned by HMI, that is a day surgery center that uses Plato.
Yeah.
And it's like it's a large institution. It's several floors. So it occupies about a building in Singapore.
Yeah, I think anything that doesn't have overnight stay, Plato is a very good fit, right? As long as it's an outpatient setting, works really well. Once it gets into overnight stay, I think there are some additional features they require that Plato doesn't target right now, because our focus is very day.
With an overnight stay, you really need to get plugged into the Internet of Things, because you have to be monitoring the patient and putting those feeds into the software. So to me, it's really just a whole new ballgame. I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah, I think, I mean, Plato does have some infrastructure endpoints for that, but it's just not our focus as a company. There's a huge market for outpatient clinics right now.
Yeah, and I think inpatient requires a focus on inpatient.
Yeah.
Do you have that feature at the moment, monitoring patients via IoT? Say they have smart watches, blood pressure, glucometers, and things like that?
So we're working on a Fitbit linkage. That's something that will come out within 2021. And then we also have linkages with some IoT devices like Spider.
We also link with GE devices and like more like OT based devices. So Plato has more open API. So technically you can link any IoT device to Plato. You can push data from any device in like API or HL7 format.
There are a lot of different devices out there. There's no one device that's conquered the market, though. I think that's also a limiting factor, though we're really hoping Fitbit will be something popular. So an interesting thing to note is in Singapore, the government is giving a Fitbit free to anybody who's a PR or a citizen. So it's going to have a big uptake here. But I don't know if the uptake will be the same for Fitbit in Malaysia. What do you think, Dr. Allen? Like, do a lot of people tend to use that there? Do a lot of patients speak with you about that?
I think the usage isn't that wide. I think there are users of smart bands and watches which track fitness. I remember watching one Singapore clip. I think if you're going to track fitness, you've got these housewives sitting down knitting, and then every now and then shake their hands to to register activity. That defeats the purpose. I don't know why the Singapore government, I'm a bit suspicious if the government wants to give everyone a Fitbit. I don't know what they're tracking. But anyway, it is for the purpose of knowing how many steps or your daily activity. I think it's a good thing. How much of your individual parameters you want to be monitored is another thing. But there are patients who wish to be monitored more closely by their physician. And then even probably people who are willing to pay for that. There's one Malaysian engineer. I think I won't mention the name, but they've done a lot of in the work with IoTs and monitoring. And there's actually a mobile app which a doctor can use to monitor the patient's blood pressure, heart rate, and all that continuously. So that might be a market. I'm not sure whether there will be a market here, but in certain places, I hear like in China, there may be very wealthy people who want to be very closely monitored by a doctor. But that will probably not come yet here. I think. I don't know about Singapore.
I don't.
But I think.
We personally haven't seen that adoption, but if you want to know something funny, Vish always wears his Fitbit, but he's not wearing it now. And my Apple Watch is sitting at my desk unworn. So we tried to do our own healthcare, and we found we haven't been able to use it. So we wonder what it will be like for patients. So you've been very...
No, I've been very regular. Actually, this is the only time I'm not wearing my Fitbit. I wear it all the time. But I don't know how useful that would be for my physician. I think it's more vanity metrics for myself.
I think health screening is a big market, and I think this one is applicable in both Malaysia and Singapore. So I could imagine executives, similar to the example from China, I could imagine executives passing that information maybe to their health screening center for their annual reporting. So that's maybe a scenario I could see. But definitely for a lot of people, the everyday usage of it, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they'd be willing to share that data, but it's something that we want to at least allow an integration for so that doctors can pilot it, because it'll be the doctor, I think, that determines whether the patient adopts, not the clinic software that determines whether the patient adopts.
Yes. Lynn has come in. Shall we add Lynn to the stream? But there's no camera. Shall we add Lynn to the stream?
Let's do that.
Yeah, but Lynn, you need to turn on your camera and microphone.
I'm actually here as a guest to watch. I'm halfway cooking, so I'm not actually ready to join the broadcast. But I'm happy to jump in with any questions so that I can answer.
So Lynn is based out of KL. So a last minute addition. Thank you, Lynn, for graciously joining us in this surprise edition. Lynn is based out of KL, so she's the one who is meeting clinics, introducing them to Plato in Kuala Lumpur. So she has onboarded our first 50 clinics and has introduced them to the software, gone down to the clinic, given the presentation, facilitated the data migration.
Okay. Maybe I'll remove Lynn from the.
Thanks for joining us quickly, Lynn.
Yeah. Okay. I think everyone is busy cooking, having dinner, but this stream will still be watched, even though they have not watched live. But it'd be just nice that they can ask questions when you guys are here. In fact, for any of our guests who are on live, anything they want to showcase, it's nice to actually interact with the presenters. I like this platform, but can I just move? Just want to share something about next week's CPD. While anybody wants to come in and ask you guys questions later, but I just want to remind the doctors about next week's CPD activity. Oops, not this one. Wrong slide.
So while you set that up, thank you so much for having us, Dr. Allen. It was really fun chatting with you about, the future of patient care, and we're very excited to share more information about healthcare analytics in a subsequent show. And if people have questions about that they'd like us to bring up or discuss, please feel free to comment on Jobs, and hopefully we can coordinate and get that information and answer your questions. So if you're thinking of doing healthcare analytics, if you have some ideas for it, we'd love to hear from you.
Well, this is next week's CPD, and it will be on the 21st of October, 8 o'clock. Usual site is jobs.my/CPD. Please register so that we know how many people are attending, and also we'll be able to send you an email to tell you how to participate. Okay. Now the event the live stream will be password protected, and for this time we will send the password only to those who have registered. So please register. Registration will close on the day before. It is 20th of October, and that's when we will send the email out. So please also check your email on the 20th. All right. Otherwise, on the last minute, we get disturbed by people asking, "What's the password? What's the password?" As usual, doctors are always very last minute or never read the emails. Do you have that problem in Singapore as well? We get a lot of it here.
I think we're very plugged in, and so far, actually, the Malaysian clinics we've worked with have been very plugged in, very responsive.
I don't think we face the same issue on our end.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'm just being bit mean.
We just don't see that side.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, so just a reminder. So it's on Wednesday this coming week. All right. But the speakers are Dr. Betty Tay and Dr. Ahmad Niza. So the topic is on arrhythmias. So if you're interested, please check in. Okay. Let's see whether any others have any questions for. I don't know how many people are not using EMR, not or maybe contemplating EMRs, or if they're already on some EMRs, contemplating changing. I have no idea what the numbers are in Malaysia, but there are thousands and thousands of clinics, really. So, and I do know many are on paper. I do know one. I mean, personally, I know people who needed to switch because of COVID, and that's what you say. They have shut down their clinics, or they've limited the operating times, and at the same time they needed to access patient data, and they don't have it because they are stored on paper form, or it's a proprietary software where they can't access it over the internet unless they open the clinic. So it's tough. So that's only when you realize how difficult it is to get data. And in my talk on teleconsultation best practices, you can't practice telemedicine or teleconsultation without access to the medical records, it's not safe. You know, you
Yeah.
cannot depend on just recall alone, and you really have to dig up the records beforehand, even to actually know more about the patient and at least have a be better prepared. I think that's the thing. And when you're after the session, it's very important to document as well. So unless you do it with the thing fresh in your mind, you can't remember. You know, no point documenting the next day or things like that. You know? So having the records on hand is very, very important. So having a cloud-based EMR is actually very good. Maybe we can talk more about that and how your system has telemedicine built in next time.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay, this is just a quick overview of Plato Medical. Any other questions out there for Remy and team? Nope. Oh, Lynn has left the stream. Never mind. I think she's busy in the kitchen. Yeah. But it's good to have local support. Yeah, nothing better than local support. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Allen, and thank you, Jobs, everybody at Jobs. It was great to meet all of you.
Yes. So I think this we will probably see more of them in the coming weeks and months. Do leave some questions if you have, even though the stream is not live, I will forward them. Okay. And if you wish to have a test drive, I think the link again, just to show, is platomedical.com. So you visit the website and then you can request a demo. Okay. All right. So I think we'll end the live session now. Thank you very much for joining us. Oh, wait, there's one more question. Oh, nothing. It was just no questions. Thanks for sharing. Okay. Thanks for watching. Yeah. Okay. All right. Good night, everyone. Okay.
Good night.